Hey guys, welcome back to Me Being Cheap. It's been a while since I've done a video, and today I'm going to take you through some canning and canning while working full-time. So let me spin you around, show you what I'm working on. Alright, these are some of the pint jars, and I had picked these up, I think it was last year, maybe it was a little bit before. Anyway, it was probably when there was some shortage of canning jars. I don't know. I negotiated for these at Dollar General. Got a good price. These were marked $7.85, but I had negotiated down for them. You can actually do that. You should give it a try sometime. They were taking up space and they were trying to get rid of them. So anyway, I bought the whole stack. That may actually have been before the pandemic, before the shortage. So anyway, because these are new, I'm going to go ahead and wash them. My pint jars that are used, I've actually got a lot of dry beans stored in them. We did have a mice situation. Actually, we only ever caught one mouse. He was a fat little mouse too. But we had a mouse situation, and I moved anything that had plastic or paper packaging into something hard. So a lot of my beans got moved into glass jars. We do eat a lot of dry beans. I try to have about 5 pounds on hand in my pantry or in my pantry room at any given time. So that did take up quite a few jars. And when I say 5 pounds, that's 5 pounds of all the varieties that we use. So black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, etc. So I'm going to get these in the wash, and I'll check back in with you in a bit. Alright, welcome back. I have my ingredients assembled, and there's two things that I'm actually working on. One, these are leftover purple whole peas from last year. They've been in my freezer. Michael and I have been trying to clean out freezers to get ready for this year's garden harvest. Also, we did get a freeze dryer end of last year, so we've been busy keeping that going with leftover food that we've cooked especially for camping and backpacking. And I have been slowly trying to clean out my freezers. We've had some meat that had been in there for a while and so forth. So actually last weekend, Michael smoked, we had 4 turkey breasts. We had picked those up when they were on sale or clearance, and we had 5 whole chickens, and so he smoked those. And long story short, I made a lot of broth. These are 2 leftover quarts of the broth that I did not can, and as you can see, I've got it out of the fridge. It's pretty thick, so I'm gonna actually have to dilute this when I use it for canning the beans. But pardon the messy kitchen, but we'll go over there. And that's how many quarts of chicken stock I have. Turned out really good, really nice and dark. Well, not really chicken stock. It's chicken and turkey, and we were gonna call it bird broth or turkin or something. I think we settled on turkin stock. So I've got that. We are cleaning out the freezers. So I've got these purple whole peas, and I'm going to can these in diluted chicken or turkin stock. And then I am going to attempt to make these ranch style beans. We like these. We're trying to get away from buying so much stuff from the store and kind of making our own. I found a how-to video from Inside Kate's Kitchen. I'll put a link to it in the description, but Inside Kate's Kitchen, she came up with a recipe. I watched the video on YouTube last night. I've got it written down here. And for each pint, it's an 1/8 teaspoon salt, 1/8 teaspoon chili powder, 1/8 teaspoon cumin, 1/8 teaspoon garlic powder or granulated garlic, 1/4 teaspoon granulated celery, 1/8 teaspoon onion powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon tomato powder, a little bit of ham, which is optional. I'm not going to use ham, and then 1/2 cup dry pinto beans per pint. So I'm going to make a couple little modifications on this recipe. One, I'm not going to put in the ham because I don't have any ready to use. And then I'm going to, instead of water, I'm going to can in the diluted chicken stock. And I'm probably not going to put any salt in there because I do believe my chicken stock has got a little bit of salt left over from the seasoning that the birds were rubbed in before they were smoked in the smoker. So I've assembled all of my ingredients. Like I mentioned before, I was storing dry beans just in canning jars in case the mice came back, which thank goodness they haven't. These are just old canning lids and rings. I mean, these aren't sealed. They're just for storage purposes only. But I brought down 6 pints of dry beans. Each recipe takes a half a cup. So this will give me enough to do 12 pints. We'll see. Because I'm not sure how many purple whole peas I'm going to have. So the next thing I need to do is make my granulated celery. And I do have a freeze dryer, and it's wonderful because you have very little food waste. So if you have some veggies that are, you know, getting kind of questionable or what have you, you can actually run them through the freeze dryer and keep them. So what I'm going to do, and I actually did this celery back in May, I'm going to grind the celery up using the NutriBullet and get that going so I have some celery powder. I think that'll be good to have on hand. There's actually a lot of recipes that call for like a celery type powder. So I'm going to turn the camera off and run this through the grinder. I can't do it one-handed, so I'll show you the end result. Check back with you in a few. I wish I had smell-o-vision through YouTube. This celery smells wonderful. But this is what freeze-dried celery looks like. It's really light. Like, you can barely feel anything. It's almost like styrofoam. But yeah, you can, it's still crispy. But yeah, we're going to make celery powder with this. So anyway, I can't do it one-handed. I'll check back in with you. So this quart of dried celery, or a freeze-dried celery, once I put it in the NutriBullet and ground it up, that's how much powder you're left with, which is not very much. It's amazing how much everything powders down to. So this will probably give me enough to do the recipe. I might have a little bit left over. Okay, check back with you in a few. I've washed my purple whole peas, and I do have a few other beans that were in my freezer from the garden last year. I've just thrown those in there too. So the next thing I'm going to do is fill up my pint jars with those. And again, I'll have to do that off camera. It takes 2 hands. The next thing I'm also going to do is this broth that I made from the turkey and the chickens. This is the 2 leftover jars that I did not can. I'm going to pour it in this pitcher and then dilute it half broth, half water. I'll have about a gallon of broth that I'll use to top off these pints, and then the other pints that I'm going to do in the ranch style beans. So I will check back with you in a few. Alright, I have added the chicken stock that's been watered down to the purple whole peas. I will debubble that in just a bit. I'll have to finish filling these other 3 jars. I was right. This is approximately 4 jars, or not approximately, it is 4 jars worth of purple whole peas. And then the next step of the process, I need to put 1/2 a cup of dry beans in each one of these jars. And I brought up 6 pints of beans, so I'm going to be doing, I'll probably have more than 12, but we'll see how many the canner holds. I'll get back with you in a few. Welcome back. If I remember correctly, my All-American pressure canner holds 19 pints, 4 of which I have filled up with the field peas, or the purple whole peas. So the remaining jars I have filled with the pinto beans. And now I'm going to add the spices. I'm going to do 1/8 teaspoon each of chili powder, cumin, garlic powder, onion powder, And the recipe that I got off of YouTube didn't call for it, but I'm going to add paprika. Some of the recipes that I've seen online call for paprika. Here is my powdered celery that I had freeze dried. We're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of this, and we are going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of the tomato powder. I'll be making this myself this summer with the freeze dryer and the tomatoes that I have in the garden, but this is some that I did buy last year, and that's what that looks like. It's some pretty neat stuff. Alright, so I'm going to turn the camera off and go ahead and add the spices. Then I'm going to top with the remaining diluted chicken broth and then finish with water. And then we will load up the canner. Alright, check back in with you in a few. Alright, I have filled the jars. I have wiped the rims with vinegar. I'm going to put the caps or the lids and the rings on and load up the canner. I will check back with you once they're done out of the canner. And because it's beans and they are raw, they are not cooked, it's going to be 75 minutes at 10 pounds. 10 pounds where I live for the pints. Alright, bye. And 2 days later, here is the final product. So we have 4 jars of cow peas or field peas. These are more specifically purple hull peas. We have 4 jars of those. And we have 13 jars of ranch style beans. They look pretty good. I'm actually pretty excited to try them. I'm not going to open up this stock yet. I actually prepared 2 more pints than would fit into my pressure canner. And so I've got those in the fridge, and I'll cook them up sometime this weekend. We'll just have beans as a side dish. But yes, this canner, I've got it down here on the floor, this All-American, it holds 17, right? We got 4 and 4, so that would be 16. It holds 17 pints. I could not remember that for the life of me. And I looked around on the internet. I couldn't find it, couldn't find my owner's manual. So, for those of you wondering, this is the All-American 930, and it holds 17 pints. I'm going to have to write that down somewhere. Anyhow, I had to get these washed up and labeled and on the shelf, and that's it. Thanks for watching.